What's going on, boys? My name is Chris Renfro. I'm a hockey goalie coach as well as a personal trainer based out of the one and only Cincinnati, Ohio. And today we're going to talk about the worst all the way to the best ways to get a six-pack. And here's my little diagram here of a six-pack. Kind of looks like a weird face, but anyways, let's go on, okay? So for most of us as athletes, okay, we probably already have the abdominal muscles built up. If you want to do core, if you want to work out your abdominal muscles, really what that's going to do is if you're a higher body fat percentage, you will still see your abs a little bit more. But if you are lean, okay, 6 to 12% body fat, you should probably already see your abs, okay? So obviously do core, hit the gym as much as possible. But if, let's say, you're lean and you don't have your abs, then you definitely need to make sure you're doing your core exercises. And if you're a hockey player or goalie anyways, you really have to have a strong core. So we definitely want to work out our core, but a lot of just having a six-pack is going to be being lean, dieting down. So that's what we're going to talk about in this. And same thing with goaltending, life in general, right? Simple, not easy. Dieting is very simple, right? Calories in. If you take in less calories and you expend more calories than you take in, you will cut weight. So it is simple to say, very hard to do. Now I have a little interesting fact for you. Did you know there are more millionaires, $1 million, there are more millionaires than there are people with a six-pack? That is insane. That is crazy. So getting a six-pack is a very, very difficult thing to do. But if you do what I'm going to say here, you'll get a six-pack. So the worst way to cut weight, we'll go over these super quick and then I'll go a little more depth into them. The worst way, starving. Okay, middle of the road way, IIFYM if it fits your macros. And the best way, which we'll talk about later, volume eating. I'm a huge fan of this one. And again, simple, not easy. We'll really discuss how simple that is. So starvation mode. This is something that I did when I was a lot younger, about 13, 14 years old. I cut a ton of weight very quickly, but I did not keep it off forever. And that's the problem with starvation mode. When you are completely restricting your calories way too much, you will have a massive rebound effect later on once you start introducing food. It's also not healthy and it's not great for body composition. We want to lose fat. That's it. We don't want to lose fat and muscle. And with starvation mode, a lot of the time we're losing fat and muscle, unless of course you're doing something like intermittent fasting, which can actually help build muscle, but we can talk about that at a later date. So starvation mode, no, that is the worst way. Short term, you don't learn a whole lot other than saying no. We have to have a healthy relationship with our food. Now let's go ahead and talk about our second method, if it fits your macros, IIFYM. This is something that is a lot more long-term than the starvation method, okay? You will learn a lot from it, and you can see great results from this. But there are some problems. It's not the healthiest. Let's talk about it. So the goal for someone who is in IIFYM, essentially what they're trying to do, they're just trying to hit their caloric goal here, okay? And they're trying to hit their macro goal here. So calories, essentially just energy, think of that. Macros, we have our proteins, our fats, and our carbs. Now for a traditional American diet, if I was eating 3,000 calories for my maintenance phase, which is total daily energy expenditure, how many calories I burn out through a day. If I ate 3,000 calories, essentially I would maintain my weight. If I ate 3,000 calories, okay, and I need to hit my macros, 20% of this 3,000 has to come from proteins, okay? 30% of this 3,000 has to come from fats. And 50% of this 3,000 has to come from carbs. Now these numbers, this can change a lot, but just to make this video simple, that's what we're working with here, okay? So I can eat McDonald's, I can eat pizza, I can eat Cane's, I love Panda Express, I can eat Panda Express, I can eat Chipotle, okay? But here's where the issues arise. One, like I said before, it's not the healthiest. You could eat a bunch of ice cream, you could still cut weight, but it's not gonna make you feel better. You're not gonna feel the greatest on it. And I love to use this example here because this is something that IIFYM really lacks, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this. I went ahead, because I'm doing volume eating right now, I went ahead and I did maybe, let's say, just like a day or so of IIFYM when I just recently got into this cut. Okay, and I ate 1,500 calories, right? I'm a little bit more aggressive with my weight loss, so I'm eating 2,000 calories right now. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you guys, okay? But I'm eating 2,000 calories right now. I'm losing about 2 pounds a week, okay? Out of that 2,000, I had a 1,500 calorie meal. Okay, this was not filling at all. This is the problem right here. It is not filling. And the reason why it's not filling is because it is very high calorically, but it is low nutritionally. And that's where IIFYM has its faults, okay? So if I eat a bunch of food that is calorically dense, but not nutritionally dense, I am going to be hungry as a mofo, okay? I'm gonna be starving constantly, and that's the issue that I ran into with this. I could cut a lot of weight. I went down from, like, I wanna say 196 when I started IIFYM, and I went down to 160. This does work, but slowly over time, I was gradually getting back up, and I got back up to 196 here. Now let's go ahead and talk about our third method here. This is my favorite method of all time for cutting weight and keeping it off. It's a lot more long-term than starvation, as well as it is way healthier than IIFYM, and that is volume eating, okay? Now the reason why this is so great is because it is, to put it simply, right, similar to what I was saying earlier, it's simple, not easy. It is just being healthy. That's the whole goal here. Now, why is it healthy? Okay, we are choosing low-calorie foods that are high nutrient density. So essentially, just fruits, vegetables, and lean meats. Okay, we are completely cutting out all this garbage, right? We're not doing the Cane's, we're not doing the Panda Express, we're not doing McDonald's, none of that BS, okay? We're doing fruits, vegetables, lean meats. Now, the great thing is when we eat healthy, okay, we will not have cravings. We will not have these cravings, okay, these intense cravings. We're not going to be hungry all the time, okay? There is going to be an adjustment period, especially if you're going from very high, like processed sugary type foods to fruits. Eventually, these fruits will taste as good as that chocolate bar, that candy bar. You're not going to want all those sweets. Now, I personally have found it takes about 3 days to really get through that period of like you're craving for those sweets, okay? And I have a huge sugar tooth, okay? But as soon as we start eating all this stuff, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, cravings go away, we're healthier. And the great thing is we're increasing our fiber intake. So once we increase that fiber intake, that's another thing that'll eliminate that hunger, as well as when we up this 20% protein goal here to, let's say, 30, 40, even 50%, we are gonna feel so satiated, it's gonna be insane. You can get a bloated, huge expanded belly on a cut, which is something that I never got when I was doing IIFYM. I never felt full, and that's why I rebounded so bad, okay? Eat healthy. It is simple, not easy to do, and like I said, there are more millionaires. Flip this sucker over. There are more millionaires than there are people with six packs. But if you stick with it, you will get a six pack. It is going to be hard. Make sure you are still tracking your calories. You still want to track your calories like we did on IIFYM. You can use apps like MyFitnessPal, but just choose the healthier option, guys. So hopefully that helps, boys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.